Hi guys, it's Miss Howard, and it's Friday, so you know what that means. First chapter Fridays. All right, I'm super excited because this is my first time doing it with you guys. All right, so I asked Miss Clark, our wonderful librarian, if she would recommend any books for First Chapter Fridays. And so since it is November, which is Native American Heritage Month, she recommended some really great books about Native Americans. I've already kind of gone through her list and I've chosen the one that I want to share with you guys today. So right now we're going to go ahead and get into Destiny Discover and I'll show you how I got to it. All right, guys, so I am already in ClassLink, so I need to just go and click the Destiny Discover icon. So the name of the book that I chose for us today is In the Footsteps of Crazy Horse. So in the search bar up here, all you have to do is type in just a little bit of the title. So I'll just type in the Footsteps. And there it is, In the Footsteps of Crazy Horse. So we can just kind of go ahead and read the summary real quick just to kind of see what it's about. So teased for his fair coloring, 11-year-old Jimmy McLean travels with his maternal grandfather, Niles High Eagle, to learn about his Lakota heritage while visiting places significant in the life of Crazy Horse, the 19th century Lakota leader and warrior, in a tale that weaves the past with the present. Okay, so this boy is being teased for his fair coloring, and that means his skin tone. So he's being teased because he has a really light, fair colored skin tone. All right, so he's going to end up having a talk with his grandfather on his mom's side, and he's going to learn about this great leader that is a part of his own family. All right. So he's going to learn about the past, and that's going to bring him to his present so he can appreciate his present and better deal with his present. So I'm going to check this book out so we can go ahead and get into it. All right. So here we are at chapter 1, entitled Rosebud Sioux, Indian Reservation. Jimmy McLean walked among the buffalo berry thickets along the Smoking Earth River. It was a warm afternoon in late May. School was done for the week and almost for the year. Jimmy was glad of that. He was tired of being teased for having blue eyes. The river cut through the valley below the town of Cold River. Cold River was on the northern edge of the Rosebud Sioux Indian Reservation in South Dakota. Jimmy lived with his parents in a modular house on the east side. That was okay, but it was not okay that he lived 2 blocks from Cold River Public School. He hated school. Corky Brand and Jesse Littlehorse were 2 of the reasons. Maybe they were the only reasons. No, he didn't like math or PE either. In PE, he had to hold hands with a girl. It was a game everyone had to play. But holding hands with a girl, that was embarrassing. Corky teased him about it, and so did Jesse. Corky was white, and Jesse was Lakota. They didn't like each other, but they seemed to bond over teasing Jimmy. Jimmy had blue eyes and light brown hair. Other Lakota children had black hair, brown skin, and brown eyes. They had family names like Little Horse, Turning Bear, Bissonnet, or Black Wolf. This was another reason for Corky and Jesse to tease him. McLean was a white name. It was his other grandfather's name, a man he had never met. Angus McLean was his dad's dad. His mom was Ann, and her last name was High Eagle. But now she was Ann McLean. Jimmy's dad was James McLean Sr. No one called him Jimmy. James Sr. was half Lakota and half white. His hair was dark and his skin was a bit lighter than most Lakota people's, but his eyes were brown. Jimmy was James McLean Jr. His dad's mom was Madeline Bear from the Pine Ridge Reservation in the western part of the state. It all meant, as his mom explained, that 3 parts of Jimmy were Lakota and 1 part was white. The part was Scottish, to be exact. The problem is, Ann McLean would say, your 3 Lakota parts are all hidden inside. Your 1 white part is on the outside. Jimmy understood what she meant, but it didn't make him feel any better. It was the main reason Corky and Jesse teased him. You're just an Indian pretending to be white, was what Corky liked to say. Who ever heard of a Lakota with blue eyes and a name like McLean? Jesse would say. Jimmy's usual reply always infuriated Jesse even more. My Lakota yellow, he would yell, which meant I am Lakota, in Lakota. Jesse did not understand or speak Lakota. According to Jesse, a blue-eyed Lakota was strange, and no one who spoke Lakota, and one who spoke Lakota was even stranger. Jimmy never fought, because he was 11 and Jesse was 12 and bigger. Corky was bigger than Jesse, so every argument with either of them was a loss because it made Jimmy feel small and weak. Now he would Now he found refuge again in the trees and thickets by the smoking earth river. Here the trees accepted him just the way he was, blue eyes and all. So did the grasses and the birds and the rabbits. Here by the river, he was just a boy. On Saturday morning, Jimmy woke to the sound of his grandfather Niles's voice. He hurried to the bathroom to splash water on his face. In the kitchen, he found his parents and Grandpa Niles having coffee and talking in English. Sometimes they spoke in Lakota, but not this morning. Hey, sleepyhead, James called out to his son. I thought you were going to snore all morning. James was in his dark blue uniform. He was a tribal police officer and sometimes worked on Saturdays. Today was one of those sometimes. Jimmy let his dad rumple his hair. Hey, Grandpa, he said as he hugged his mom. She was a Head Start teacher and did not work on Saturdays. What's the haps? Niles High Eagle's brown face had deep creases. He was tall and his hair was long and black, sprinkled with gray. He always wore it in a single braid. A wide smile beamed for his grandson. Got some chores, he said in a strong, soft voice. Means riding horses, though. I know you don't like to do that. Who told you that? Jimmy teased back. I was born riding horses. It was his favorite thing to do. Well, next to being with his grandpa. A meadowlark, answered Grandpa Niles. Just yesterday, one told me that. Mom and Dad say as soon as you have breakfast and get ready, we can go. Hey guys, so I had some trouble with the page, but we are over here on this page. We are right down here. I'm not hungry, Jimmy said. I'll be ready in a sec. There'll be breakfast waiting for you, Ann McLean said. Take a shower, get dressed, and take some clothes for overnight. You're not leaving this house without breakfast. Jimmy nodded and hurried away to his room. There was no arguing with his mom when she used that tone of voice. Anyway, he was spending the night with Grandpa Niles and Grandma Sarah. They lived 10 miles out of town on a small horse ranch. Jimmy smiled ear to ear as he loped across the prairie with Grandpa Niles. He was riding Little Warrior, a small but sturdy buckskin quarter horse. Grandpa was on Dancer, a muscular bay quarter horse stallion. Grandpa Niles had a small herd of horses. There were the stallion, 3 mares, their colts, and 2 geldings for riding. Little Warrior was a gelding. Their chore was checking Grandpa Niles' 12 miles of fences. Jimmy knew Grandpa Niles hated barbed wire, but it did keep the neighbors' cattle out of the horse pastures. So it was important to check the fences regularly, just in case there were breaks or any loose wire. They stopped along Horse Creek, which flowed into the smoking earth river. Grandpa wanted to rest the horses and let them graze. Besides, it was always good to relax in the shade of some big, tall cottonwood trees. Jimmy took a long stick and poked around in the grasses before he sat down. It was a way to scare away snakes. Grandpa had taught him that. Sitting against the trunk of a giant cottonwood tree, they listened to the creek gurgling and watched the horses munch on grass. This was the sort of thing Jimmy wanted to do for the rest of his life. So them boys been teasing you again? Grandpa asked suddenly. Jimmy nodded. Yeah, he said softly. Well, drawled Grandpa Niles, a blade of grass between his teeth. What's their main problem? I don't know, Jimmy shrugged. They say I'm not Lakota. Why? Because your skin is light and you have blue eyes? Jimmy shrugged again. I guess so. I think I can settle this whole issue once and for all, declared Grandpa Niles. Jimmy perked up. You going to beat them up? He could almost see that. They were right at the top right here. No, Grandpa replied with a chuckle. Don't think we can change them boys, but we might change how you look at things. What do you mean, Grandpa? Well, the answer to that question is a long one. It means you and me are going on a trip, soon as school is out. Are you up for that? Jimmy sat straight up. This was too good to be true. You mean like camping? Yeah, there'll be some camping, a lot of driving, and seeing some interesting and important places. Jimmy could not believe his ears. He couldn't wait. One more thing, added Grandpa. You remember the stories about Crazy Horse, don't you? Yeah, you told me he was the greatest Lakota warrior a long time ago. Did I tell you what he looked like? Jimmy shook his head. No, I don't think so. Well, said his grandpa, let me show you what he looked like. Let's go to the creek. Puzzled, Jimmy followed his grandpa. Now, said Grandpa Niles, kneeling carefully at the edge of the bank, look into the water. Jimmy looked down, but all he could see was their reflections. Grandpa pointed at Jimmy's. Who do you see there? He asked. Me. That's me, Grandpa. Are you sure? I could swear that's Crazy Horse when he was your age, though his hair was probably a bit longer. Jimmy was still puzzled, but now he was curious too. For reals? Yeah. My great grandfather, your great great grandfather, was born in 1860. He was Crazy Horse, as close as you are to me. He said Crazy Horse had light skin like you and brown hair like you. He didn't have blue eyes, but some boys teased him too. Jimmy stared at his own reflection in the water. No way, he thought. I don't look like Crazy Horse. Yeah, sighed Grandpa, as if he had read Jimmy's thoughts. I could swear that's young Crazy Horse looking at me. Of course, when he was a boy, they called him Light Hair. Jimmy couldn't take his eyes off his own face looking back at him. Tell you what, Grandpa Knox continued, now that you have some idea what he looked like, want to go see where he lived and played and hunted, all that stuff? Jimmy looked at his grandpa and smiled. All right, guys. So that was the first chapter of In the Footsteps of Crazy Horse. I hope you liked it. I am really into it, so I'm going to finish this book, and I hope you decide to finish it as well. All right. Bye.